The space around Orion's gate burned with war. Flames floated in zero gravity, glowing orange and red against the cold, dark vacuum. The stars were distant and peaceful, unaware of the blood spilled in their name. Hundreds of ships, both human and alien, danced in a deadly ballet. Lasers cut through hulls. Explosions sent metal and bodies flying. Fighters zipped between dreadnoughts, trying to dodge the chaos. Commander Elias Rain stood on the bridge of the TSS Valor, the flagship of the Terran Alliance. His jaw was tight, his eyes sharp, locked onto the enemy ship ahead, the Zarthuan, the royal warship of the Sorthok Empire. The Sorthok were monstrous beings, 8 feet tall, covered in scales with thick claws and glowing yellow eyes. Their empire had stretched across half the galaxy before they met humanity. Now, after a long and bloody war, it was finally collapsing. Status, Rain asked. Shields at 40%. Weapons holding. The Zarthuan is damaged there. Trying to retreat, his officer replied. Rain's lips curled into a cold smile. They won't escape. The Zarthuan was more than just a ship. Carried King Veilzor himself, the Sorthok ruler. If Rain could capture him, the war would end tonight. Ready the boarding team? Rain said. The officer blinked. Sir, you're going to board that ship? Yes, Rain said. Myself. The boarding pod launched like a bullet. Inside, Rain was silent, his pulse steady. This wasn't about glory. This was about ending the war personally. The pod slammed into the side of the Zarthuan, its magnetic claws gripping the hull. Rain led his small squad inside, weapons drawn. Smoke and sparks filled the corridors. Dead Sorthak soldiers lay on the floor, twisted in pain. The king's guards fought fiercely, but the humans pushed forward, at last. Rain reached the throne chamber. There, standing tall and wounded, is King Veilzor. The alien king's armor was cracked, one arm was limp, but his eyes burned with hatred and pride. You come to take my head, human? The king growled in perfect English. No, Rain said. I came to take your surrender. Veilzor laughed, a deep, cruel sound that echoed through the chamber. The Sorthok do not surrender. Then die, Rain said, and raised his weapon. But the king raised one clawed hand. Wait. I offer something in return for my life. Rain hesitated.
What?
The king reached into a satchel and pulled out a small metal sphere. A hologram appeared, the image of a young female Sorthok. She was thinner than most of her kind, her scales dull gray instead of bright gold. Her mandibles were smaller, her eyes were gentle. This is my daughter Caritha, the king said. She is defective, weak, a shame to our name. I give her to you, to humanity, as a gift, a trophy. Rain stared at the hologram. A daughter? That's your offer? Yes, take her. Let me live, and she is yours. I will go into exile. The empire will break. The war will end. Rain looked into the hologram's eyes. Strange, alien, but there was something in them. Not fear, not anger, something else. Understanding. The Terran Council was shocked. A week later, back on Earth, leaders from across the Alliance gathered. The war was over. King Veilzor had been taken into custody, awaiting exile. But all anyone could talk about was the gift he left behind. Caritha. What are we supposed to do with her? One general asked. Put her in a zoo? She's not an animal, another replied. She's royalty. She's a symbol, said President Halden. A living message that the Sorthok Empire fell before us? Rain said nothing. Was watching Caritha from across the room. She stood alone in a glass chamber, guarded but unchained. Her posture was stiff. Her yellow eyes moved slowly, taking in every human who stared at her like she was some strange beast suddenly. She looked straight at Rain. He did not look away. Caritha was assigned to Rain's custody. Officially, he was to study her, learn about Sorthok culture and technology. Unofficially, the council didn't want her on public display. She was too... unsettling. When she arrived at the facility in New Geneva, Rain greeted her personally. I am Elias Rain, You may call me Commander or Elias. Caritha tilted her head. Names mean little. Your kind changes them too quickly. You can call me human if you prefer, he said dryly. She made a low, clicking noise, the Sorthok version of laughter. I prefer enemy, she said. Rain raised an eyebrow. We're not at war anymore. You think so? She asked. Hold me here. You parade my image in your news. You call me ugly in your tongue. Even my own father didn't want me but you. You accepted his gift. Rain didn't. Answer. He didn't have to. Instead, he said, what did you do to be called ugly? She looked at him, her voice quiet. I was born different, smaller, slower. I didn't want war. I wanted peace. My people do not forgive weakness. Rain nodded slowly. Maybe your people were wrong. Caritha blinked. And yours? Are they right to cage me? I didn't put you in a cage, he said. You keep me here. I keep you safe, Rain said. This world is not kind to things it doesn't understand. Maritha looked away. Neither is mine. Days. Past Rain visited her often. At first, they spoke in short, cold conversations. But over time, the cold began to melt. Caritha asked about Earth, its oceans, its sky, its people. She seemed curious. One evening, Rain found her watching a video. Old Earth music. You? Like that? He asked. Caritha nodded. It is soft. Our music is made for war. Yours is made for memory. That night, she told him more. She spoke of her mother, a queen killed in a political purge. She spoke of her home, a palace carved into a dying red moon. She spoke of her dreams, not of conquest, but of stars shared. Rain listened. In her stories, he began to see something new. Not a monster. It's not a gift. A person. One day, an explosion rocked the facility. Alarms blared. Security scrambled. A Sorthak loyalist had infiltrated Earth and tried to kill Caritha, believing her a traitor. But Caritha had sensed it. Heard the unfamiliar pattern in the footsteps. Smelled the chemicals in the air. She warned the guards and stopped the bomb from reaching the main reactor. Rain found her standing over the unconscious assassin, her claw pressed against his throat but not killing him. You saved the facility, Rain said. I saved myself, she replied. No, you could have escaped. You stayed. You warned us. Caritha looked at him. Psst. Perhaps I am more human than I thought. After that, public opinion shifted. Some still feared her. Others mocked her, but a few, just a few, began to respect her. News. Headlines read, Alien princess saves human lives. Caritha. Monster or hero? From trophy to guardian. Rain saw the change in her. She stood taller, spoke more, even smiled, a strange curl of her lip plates that resembled a grin. But deep in her eyes, Rain still saw pain and something else. A question. Where did she belong? Caritha stood in the middle of the training yard, surrounded by human soldiers. They watched her from a distance, whispering. Some pointed, others laughed quietly. She pretended not to hear them, but her sharp ears caught every word. Look, at her, like a lizard in armor. She's the king's reject. Why is she even here? She saved the base, didn't she? Maybe by accident? Commander Elias Rain stood nearby, arms crossed, watching her too, but not with mockery. He had seen her fight, had seen her think. Most of all, he had seen her heart. Caritha wasn't a threat. She was an opportunity. The Terran Council didn't see it that way. In a private meeting held on the moon base Helios, the top leaders of Earth's military and political branches debated Caritha's future. She's dangerous, said General Mora. She's not human. She's the daughter of our enemy. But she helped us, said Admiral Singh. She saved 100 lives at the Geneva facility. She's still a Sorthok, Mora replied. They don't change. She's only helping us because she has no place to go. She is a political gift, President Haldon said. Throwing her away would look weak. Rain leaned forward, calm but firm. She's more than a gift. She's smart, disciplined, and has insight into the Sorthok Empire that we don't. We can learn from her. And when she decides to turn on us? Mora asked. Rain met the general's stare. Then I'll stop her. But for now, she's with us, and we'd be fools to waste what she offers. Aretha was given access to Earth's language databases, history records, and military maps. She absorbed information quickly, often asking questions that surprised even the scientists. Why do humans bury their dead in the ground? She asked one day. It's tradition, said Dr. Amara, a cultural expert. It's about respect and returning to the earth. Caritha tilted her head. Sorthak burned their dead to feed the war fires, but we don't talk about it. You talk about everything. Is that strange to you? Imara asked. It is, loud, Caritha said, but not unpleasant. She began training with human soldiers, not as a commander, but as one of them. She learned to use earth weapons, and in return, taught Sorthok martial techniques. Her movements were fast and brutal, but controlled. Many still feared her, but a few began to admire her, especially one young soldier named Marco. He often sparred with her and joked during breaks. You ever smile, lizard lady? He asked one day. Caritha blinked. My species does not smile. It shows weakness. Then I must be very weak, Marco grinned. She tilted her head. Perhaps you are. But later, when no one watched, she looked in a mirror and tried to smile. Meanwhile, rumors began to spread. Across the galaxy, remnants of the Sorthok Empire were breaking apart. Without King Velzor, power was collapsing. Warlords were fighting for control. Refugees fled Sorthok worlds in search of peace. But one name kept rising in the chatter. Caritha. Some saw her as a traitor, others as a symbol of change. Whispers began. The princess lives. She walks among humans. Be peace is possible. When the Terran Intelligence Division picked up the message, alarms were raised. She's becoming a symbol, said Director Lang. That's dangerous. Or hopeful, Rain replied. Lang shook his head. Symbols cause revolutions. If Sorthok factions rally behind her, we'll be dragged into another war. So what do you want to do? Rain asked. Keep her quiet, or remove her. Rain stood over my dead body. That night, Rain visited Caritha in her quarters, a small room with a bed, books, and a window showing the stars. I heard they want to silence you, he said. Caritha nodded. I know, I hear the whispers. They forget my ears are sharper than theirs. Rain sat across from her. Do you want to go back to your people? She was silent for a long time. I don't know where I belong, she said. To them, I am weak. To you, I am alien. I am nothing in both worlds. You're not nothing, Rain said. You're the only one who can connect us. Caritha looked at him. And what if I fail? Then we'll fail together. The next morning, an explosion rocked the Helios moon base. This time, it wasn't a lone assassin. It was a team of mercenaries, humans hired by a Black Ops group within the Alliance itself. Their goal was simple: eliminate Caritha before she became a threat. They stormed the base with military. Precision, Rain, and Caritha were in the command center when the alarms blared. Grabbed his weapon. She grabbed hers. They're coming for me, she said. Then we give them something to regret, Rain said. They moved like a single unit, covering each other, moving through smoke and fire. Caritha tore through attackers with terrifying grace. Rain's shots were precise, his orders calm. They reached the evac point, but more enemies closed in. Go, Rain shouted. I'll hold them, Caritha growled. I will not leave you. This isn't a choice. She looked at him once, long and hard, then pressed her clawed hand to his chest. You are not my enemy, she said, and then she ran. An hour later. The attackers were dead or captured, but Caritha was gone. Rain stood in front of the council. Furious. You tried to kill her. Our guest, our ally. She was becoming dangerous, Lang said. You just proved she was right to leave, Rain snapped. We're afraid of peace. We only know how to fight. She's out there now, Mora said, with everything she knows. She's not your enemy, Rain said. She's your best chance. Meanwhile, deep in space, Caritha landed on a small moon, once a Sorthok outpost. Now abandoned, she sent a signal, not to humans, to those among her people who still believed in peace. I am Caritha, daughter of the Broken King, she said in her message. The humans took me as a gift, but I left by choice. I seek not war. I seek change. If you hear me, come. Within days, responses came from Sorthok outcasts, from rebels, from young ones who had never known peace. The ugly daughter was becoming something more, a leader back on Earth. Rain sat alone, watching the stars. He had lost a friend, but maybe, just maybe, humanity had gained something greater, a bridge. Caritha stood on the cold surface of the forgotten moon, her eyes fixed on the sky. Stars blinked above her just as they did above Earth, but here, they felt different, quieter, farther. The silence pressed around her like a second skin. She had sent the message days ago, a call to the scattered Sorthok. Not a call to war, but a call to talk. To think, to change. And now, they were arriving. The first to land was a small transport ship, dusty and shaking. From it stepped 3 Sorthok, one older, with a cybernetic eye, one young with burn, scars across his face, and one female, even taller than Caritha, armored and wary. None bowed, none smiled, but they came. Why should we listen to you? The scarred one, Calron asked. Caritha sat calmly before them. No weapons, no guards, only her voice. Because we have no empire, she said. No leaders, no future, only ashes. You sound like a human, the armored female hissed. I have lived among them, Caritha said. I have seen how they fight and how they forgive. Can do the same. Forgiveness is for the weak, Calron spat. No, she said quietly. Forgiveness is for the strong. The weak run from change. The strong carry it. The older Sorthok, named Velkar, studied her. You are the daughter of the one who led us to ruin. Why not take his place? I don't want a throne, she replied. Want a bridge. Back on Earth, Commander Elias Rain paced inside a high-security council room. He hadn't slept in 2 days. Caritha's departure had shaken the alliance. Some believed she betrayed them. Others thought she had gone rogue. But Rain believed she was doing something no one else could. Where is she now? Asked President Halden. Unknown, replied Director Lang. Her signal is masked. But we've picked up Sortoak ships gathering on a moon in the Marin Belt. Then, she's forming an army, General Mora growled. No, Rain said. She's forming a voice. Lang folded his arms. Commander, she's dangerous. If she rallies the Sorthok, they could rise again. Rain stared back, unshaken, or she could prevent a second war. On the moon, more ships arrived. Some carried fighters. Others brought families, Sorthak civilians, who had nowhere else to go. They built camps, cooked food over heat stones, repaired old weapons and broke some apart. Caritha walked among them, not as a princess, but as one of them. She shared stories not of war, but of Earth. They plant food in the ground, she said one night beside a fire, and wait. Months before it grows, so much patience. They're soft, one soldier muttered. No, she said. They're stubborn in different ways. Another asked, do they hate us? Some do, she said. Some fear, but some try to understand. Velkar leaned forward. And do you still believe in them? Caritha met his eyes. I believe in those who try. Rain made his decision. He left Earth with a small shuttle, ignoring orders. Tracking her signal manually through deep space, he passed through asteroid fields, dark nebulae, and cold voids, until finally he reached the moon. Her moon. He landed quietly and stepped out unarmed. The Sorthok guards saw him. Raised their weapons. Caritha appeared before them. Let him through, she said. They stood across from each other once more, under the alien sky. For a long time neither spoke, You left, Rain said. I had to, Caritha replied. You protected me, but they never would. I would have kept fighting for you. I know, she said, but this fight is mine. He looked around at the camps, the families, the broken warriors trying to rebuild. You've done something I didn't think was possible. So have you, she said softly. Listened. That night Rain joined them at the fire, Caritha translated. The Sorthak listened. He told them about humanity's past, their own wars, their own mistakes. We nearly destroyed ourselves, he said. We changed, slowly. With scars, you can too. But some turned away, but some listened. Far away, hidden in the shadows of space, another force was watching. Admiral Tesvarn, head of Terran Black Security, watched the reports from her stealth cruiser. She had not agreed to peace. She had never. Trusted Caritha. She's building a movement, her second-in-command said. Varn's voice was sharp. No, she's building a threat. What do we do? Send in the ghosts. Quietly make it look like a pirate raid. The attack came at dawn. Explosions lit the sky. Missiles rained from orbit. Drones dropped from the sky, firing plasma. Rounds at the camps. Fires spread. Ow! Screams echoed. Rain dragged a child behind cover. Caritha pulled a wounded warrior to safety. This isn't pirates, she growled. This is the Alliance. No, Rain said, firing back. This is the part of the Alliance that fears you. They fought back, side by side. The Sorthok rallied, not to conquer, but to protect. They formed shield walls, pulled civilians to bunkers. Fought with honor, not fury. By sunset, the attackers were gone, destroyed or captured. But the damage was done. Caritha stood among the ashes. Children cried. Fires burned. And yet, the people still stood. Velkar limped toward her. They fear you, child. That means you're close to truth. Ron spat blood. Then let them fear. Let us strike back, no, Caritha said firmly. If we answer fire with fire, we become what they fear. Then what do we do? Someone asked. Caritha turned to Rain. We go to Earth. Rain blinked. What? We demand to speak, she said, not as enemies. Not as beasts, but as voices of reason. Ow. Never let you in. Then we'll knock until they do. The great city of Solara Prime, Earth's political capital, stood tall beneath its glass domes. The council hall, a towering silver structure shaped like a spear, reached into the sky. Ow. Inside, leaders of the Earth Alliance gathered. Whispers filled the room like wind. Caritha is coming here, to Earth. She leads an army now. She was the enemy. She wants peace. The council was divided. Some feared war. Others feared hope. And far above, in orbit, a ship approached slowly. Openly, unarmed. A Sorthok vessel. Inside the ship, Caritha sat quietly, her claws folded, eyes closed. She wore ceremonial armor not for war, but to honor her past. Round her sat representatives of the new Sorthok voice. Warriors. Farmers, scholars, and orphans. Commander Elias Rain stood beside her in a Terran uniform, freshly cleaned but patched from battle. Are you ready for this? No. He asked. Caritha opened her eyes. No, but we go anyway. The ship entered Earth's atmosphere. The landing was slow and dramatic. Hundreds of Terran drones followed the ship's descent, cameras streaming live to billions of screens. Civilians gathered. Protesters screamed. Supporters cheered. Soldiers stood ready, hands on weapons. The ship landed in a secure plaza outside Solara Prime. The doors opened, and Caritha stepped out. A silence fell across the city. She was taller than the humans, her skin dark green and covered in thick scales. Horns were chipped, her claws sharp, her armor dented from past fights, but she walked calmly, with her head high. Beside her, Elias Rain walked as an equal, not a guard, not a prisoner, a friend. Security forces flinched as more Sorthak stepped down behind her. To attack? No weapons, no raised voices. Only tired eyes, scarred hands, and children who clung to their parents. Caritha looked at the soldiers, then at the cameras. Then she spoke not with a translator, but in fluent Terran English. I am Caritha, daughter of a broken empire. Once I was sent here as a gift, an insult, a punishment. You feared me, mocked me, but I learned your language. I saw your people, and I saw your pain. She stepped forward slowly. You think I am your enemy, but I am not. I came back not to conquer, but to speak. The council hall doors opened after hours of debate. Inside, she stood before the most powerful leaders of Earth. Rain stood beside her. President Halden stared down from his seat. Why have you come, Caritha? She answered, without hesitation. To stop a war before it begins. General Mora scoffed. No, she said. I brought survivors. Director Lang frowned. Why come now? Why not stay in exile? Because I am tired of being silent, she said. And you should be too. The council chamber grew tense. Caritha walked to the center and turned in a slow circle. I am not beautiful. I am not like you. But I am like you in one way. I want peace. My people are scattered. They need food, water, homes, not war. And I believe Earth can help us. Not by ruling us, not by fearing us, but by working with us. She looked up at the rows of faces. Let me lead them. Not as a queen, but as a bridge. Someone in the back whispered, She dares to hope. Outside the hall, protests grew louder. Screens across Earth debated the moment live. Was Caritha honest? Could she be trusted? And then, something unexpected happened. A woman in the crowd, an old war widow, stepped forward and spoke to the reporters. My son died in the war, fighting the Sorthak. But if that creature inside is trying to stop another mother from losing her child, maybe she deserves to be heard. Spread quickly. More. People stepped forward. Some still hated, but some began to hope. Inside, General Mora stood. She says good words. But what if it's a trick? Caritha turned to him. And test me. He blinked. What? Send me to rebuild what your bombs destroyed. Send me to feed those your weapons starved. Rain stepped forward. She saved lives. Stopped your assassins. Fought off mercenaries who attacked her own people. She's done more for peace than most in this room. President Halden raised a hand. The room went silent. You speak well, Caritha, he said. But peace takes more than words. It takes trust. I'm offering it, she said. You decide if you take it. They voted, not all said yes, but enough did. Caritha was granted a temporary role peace envoy between Earth and the Sorthak. Remnants, no power, no weapons, just a voice. That night, Caritha sat on the balcony of a temporary guest room. Looking at the stars over Earth, Rain joined her with 2 cups of hot tea. She sipped and blinked. Too sweet, he chuckled. You'll get used to it. She looked at him. Why did you follow me? Because I believe in impossible things. They sat in silence for a while. Then she asked, Do you think they'll ever see me as more than a monster? Rain looked at her, truly looked. I think they already do. But in the shadows of power, others still whispered. Admiral Varn, far from Earth, watched the vote results in silence. She's inside the walls now, her. Officer said. Varn didn't respond. She's changing them. Still silence. Then she said softly, Then we burn the bridge before it grows roots. Back on Earth, Caritha walked through a refugee zone helping distribute supplies. Kay Child grabbed her claw and smiled. She tried to smile back. It looked strange, but it was real. And the humans around her started smiling too. Peace was no longer a dream. It had become a seed. Small, fragile, but planted. Caritha stood in front of a growing crowd on Earth. She had become a symbol not of power, not of war, but of something stronger. Hope. Children who once hid behind their parents now approached her, some even tugging at her claws with laughter. Farmers asked her questions about Sorthok crops. Scientists interviewed her about Sorthok biology and space travel. Soldiers who once pointed weapons at her now nodded in silent respect. For the first time in her life, Coretha felt something. She had never known. She belonged. But peace, as always, was fragile. In the shadows of a secret command room deep in space, Admiral Tess Varn stood with her arms crossed. Her face was made of stone. "She's too close," Varn said. "Too trusted. Too dangerous." Her second-in-command asked, "Should we move the Black Protocol forward?" Varn gave a single nod. "Begin Operation Shadow Seed." Earth did not expect betrayal from within. No bombs, no armies, only a silent infection. One night, Terran satellites began to fall, not from above, but from inside.
Ow.
Security codes were rewritten. Communications blacked out. At the same time, Sorthok refugee camps reported strange sicknesses, computers frying, water turning black, drones attacking civilians. Someone was trying to make it look like the Sorthok were rising again. The news spread fast. Coretha's people are behind this. It's all been a trick. She wants to finish what her father started. The people who had once smiled now looked away. Some cursed her. Some threw rocks. She didn't flinch, but Rain did. "We need to stop this," he said, furious. "We need to show them the truth." Coretha nodded. "We will. But not with words this time. With proof." Together, they tracked the signals, the ones controlling the hacked satellites and drones. The patterns were clear to Coretha. "This isn't Sorthok tech," she said. "It's copied, made to look like ours, but it's not. It's human," Rain asked. "Worse," she replied. "It's both. Someone has mixed Earth tech with old Sorthok code. Only one person has the resources to do that." "Admiral Varn," they both said together. Coretha and Rain went straight to the Earth Council. They laid out the data, showed them. The virus patterns, the false code signatures, the sabotage plans. President Halden looked stunned. General Mora scowled. "You expect us to believe one of our own is behind this?" Coretha's voice was firm. "She wants to destroy the bridge. I'm building. She's willing to destroy Earth to do it," Rain added. Silence. Then the president stood. "If what you say is true, she has already committed treason." Earth sent scouts. Quietly, they found a hidden shipyard in the asteroid belt. Hundreds of black ships, cloaked, armed, ready to strike. It was a fleet built for one reason: to destroy what Coretha had created. "They're launching in 2 days," the scouts warned.
Right.
"Their targets are Earth cities, Sortho camps, and major peace centers. They attack, peace will be dead."
Ow.
The council met in emergency session. "We attack first," General Mora said. "Destroy Varn before she moves." President Halden looked to Coretha. "We can't attack our own people," he said, "even traitors." Coretha stood tall. "Then let me go." Everyone stared. "Let me speak to her. One last time. If I fail, you do what you must." "But give me the chance. You would go alone?" the president asked. "No," Rain said. "She won't be alone. One last ship, one last mission." Coretha and Elias Rain flew straight to the hidden shipyard, broadcasting only one message: "We come to speak, not fight." No one answered, but they were allowed to land. Inside, the shipyard was like a black sea, row after row of stealth bombers and hunter drones. Soldiers walked in silence, all wearing black, and they're waiting. It was Admiral Tess Varn. She looked older than before. Colder, her eyes had no warmth left. "You're brave to come here," Varn said. "Not brave," Coretha replied. "Just tired of watching others die?" Varn sneered. "You fooled the council, you fooled Earth, but I see the truth. You're your father's daughter. Monsters don't change." Coretha stepped closer. "Then look at me, Tess. I was cast away, called ugly, called a beast. But I still chose peace. Not because I'm weak, but because I know what war really costs." Varn's voice grew sharp. You think peace is strength? You think mercy will save us? I think truth will, Caritha said. And I know you're afraid. Varn's hand moved toward her weapon. Rain stepped forward, weapon raised, but Caritha raised her hand. No. She looked Varn in the eye. You can kill me now, but the truth won't die. They already know. Our ships won't fly. Your plan is over. And just then, the screens all around them blinked. Earth had hacked. The shipyard, the soldiers around them, froze. Messages played on every screen. Stand down. Admiral Varn, under arrest for treason. Some soldiers looked confused. Others dropped their weapons. Rain stepped forward. It's over. Varn screamed and lunged at Caritha, but the Sorthak envoy moved faster. She twisted Varn's arm and brought her to her knees with one. Powerful movement. It didn't have to end this way, Caritha said softly. Varn's eyes burned with hate. You'll never be one of them. Caritha looked at Rain, then back at Varn. I don't have to be, she said. I'm one. Of me. Back on Earth, the news exploded. Caritha stops war. Admiral Vare arrested. Alien envoy saves millions. And for the first time, headlines no longer called her alien monster or war relic. They called her peacemaker. Flag, newly designed, flew beside Earth's in Solara Prime, a symbol of unity, not surrender. Caritha stood at the center of a new council, the Galactic Rebuilding Alliance, a group meant to protect peace and support both human and Sorthic. Refugees Rain remained by her side, now officially Earth's ambassador to the Alliance. Together, they led not by ruling, but by listening. One evening, Caritha visited the place where she had first arrived on Earth, the Terran military base where she had been locked in a cage, mocked for her appearance. She walked past the empty cells, past the old battle droids, and out onto the training field. A group of young humans in Sorthok were sparring together, laughing. Some wore mixed uniforms, others shared food. A young Sorthok girl with crooked horns saw Caritha and ran to her. Are you the one from the stories? The girl asked. Caritha knelt. I'm not a story, she said with a small smile. I'm just someone who didn't give up. And so the daughter once given away in shame is the ugly gift of a broken empire, became the voice. That stopped a second war. Not with power, not with perfection, but with courage. The courage to forgive, the courage to change, and the courage to lead.